Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mhór podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined once again by my good friend, esteemed journalist, big Liverpool fan, Stephen Reynolds. Myself and Stephen did a kind of, I suppose it was a halfway point show earlier in the Premier League season. Really enjoyed the chat, so we said we'd do it again for the end of the season now that the Premier League season's over. So yeah, really grateful to Stephen for coming back on. We're going to just kind of chat about how the Liverpool season went for LFC, and then do a little end of the season awards, and we'll probably wrap it up with that. So Stephen, thank you so much, man, for coming back on. It's always great to chat. How have you been keeping these last few months?
All Grant. That's absolutely no worries. I enjoy doing this sort of stuff. So, yeah, no, all good. Like I suppose the football hasn't been too great, which we'll get into. Um, it's been a struggle, and I'm happy it's finally over. In from a Liverpool standpoint, anyway.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, it's been a bit of a slog at times. Really disappointing after winning the league last season, and then you know like making so many signings, then it was so incredibly underwhelming, unfortunately. I guess, yeah, just to get straight into it, which is just, I always seem to say that in every show, whether we're talking about politics or sport. Let's get straight into it. Um, anyway, I guess what was your sense of the season? I remember, I think at the halfway point, from memory, we were both kind of willing to give the manager a bit of time, a bit of leeway. He had just obviously we had won the league the season previous, but I've been following your tweets and your articles and stuff like that. I think and I'm in agreement with you, by the way. We're starting to lose a bit of patience. How much of an underperformance was this season really from Arne Slot, in your opinion?
I think at the halfway stage when we were talking, I think it was actually a little bit before the halfway stage or just around it. And I think we were all willing to give the benefit of the doubt if we saw some improvement over the next few months and we saw the signing settling in and starting to perform and some sort of a team coming together that we can get behind going into a new season and not even expecting trophies this year, like just having something to grasp onto. And it's been the complete opposite. There's been multiple kind of half false dawns where we felt that, oh, we've won a few games in a row, we're looking good, and then it would all come crashing down again. And um, obviously, it's been a massive underperformance across the board. I think the manager, the players really have let themselves down, let everyone down really in that regard. Obviously, there is various mitigating circumstances. Starting the summer with Diogo Jota, then you have the squad overhaul, then you have loads of injuries. Like our two strikers, one broke his leg, one did his Achilles. That's not ideal. We had the problems at right back with Frimpong and Bradley getting injured, um, and then other like towards the end of the season, we didn't really have much of an attack, and then obviously Salah dropping off and other players kind of dropping off. So I think those are all things that everyone is willing to accept and understand that they contribute to what we've seen and the performances. However, like when you have bad seasons, and we had them under Klopp, and nothing went their way, be it injuries or we realized some players were passed in, we were underperforming, and we were way off contending for anything. I think those seasons always ended somewhat positive. Like, for example, in the COVID year, we won a bunch of games and came third. In 22-23, we won like nine in a row or something like that. And missed out in top four, but there was something to look forward to going into the new season. This time, this is the first time I can even remember hoping a season ended. Like coming into the final weeks and just hoping it all ended. And I think I was always on the side of erring on the side of caution with the manager. I only thought that Alonso would be the one I would pull the trigger on, purely because of his connection to Liverpool and obviously what he's done. And he has a relationship with Verts, and he would get a lot of time, and of course he'd be able to spend in the summer, and he would make the squad into what he would view like a successful squad would be, and a successful team. But with him going to Chelsea now, I do still believe the manager should be sacked because I think, as I said, not seeing those improvements towards the end of the year, not having anything to grasp onto, the football is turgid. And look, do I think if he stays in the job, I think he will probably. I think the owners and all them, they've kind of ignored the boos at Anfield. I don't think they view. I don't think they believe the fans are truly like kind of awful. If you get me, but I do think they're going to stay with him, and I do. If we get the wingers we're linked with, if we improve the squad, if we maybe freshen things up a little bit, 100% we're going to be better. I don't think the squad can get worse. I know that's famous last words, but I don't think the performances we saw will be repeated or be worse. But like an improvement by how much is what I'd be worried about. Like, are we going to finish third? Are we going to finish, second? Are we not? Are we going to win anything? And that's the business that Liverpool have been in for the last decade is winning things. And the money you spent, the only acceptable result is winning trophies. So, and then on top of that, if there is an improvement, does he's out of contract slot next summer? His contract's running out. So do we give him one, or do we eventually go, look, you're probably not the guy, and we go for someone else? So these are all questions that need to be answered. It is. I know we'll get on to it, but it is the biggest summer like in years. It's the biggest summer in years, purely because we're at a point now where we can. This can be just a blip. This could just be a bad season, it could turn into kind of a drop off, and Liverpool not contending for titles anymore. For the next few years at least.
100% well said. And I think, to be honest with you, when I kind of myself, anyway, speaking, I can only speak as an individual, realised it's just not going to work for him, is, in fairness, to give him a bit of credit, I think he did try to switch up the system a little bit. He kind of changed to like a two up front, four, kind of a diamond system. I felt with Sabazai went a bit deeper, Vert was in the 10, and you kind of had two up front at times. And I thought that was the right thing to do at the time. But the players still just didn't respond to it well. We still continued to struggle. Maybe got the odd result here or there. And, I think that's the mark of, it's hard. I think it's hard to say that every player stopped playing for him. I think there is still a lot in the squad that, have a lot of time for him for what happened last season. But like, we have so much. I mean, Mo Salah, it's clear he was like an absolute club legend. Clearly doesn't get on with him. They had the most fake hug ever on the last day of the season there. There's talks that Curtis Jones is falling out with him. I think these are really bad signs that his man management wasn't there. So yeah, that's kind of when I, personally speaking, realised that I just don't think it's going to work out for him this year, unfortunately. And I guess
when is a manager who's lost the kind of like the fans and the away support and all that, when have they ever like turned it around? I can't think of a single time, especially at Liverpool. Like once you lose the fans, you're done. So, and like you said there, like he did make changes, and I actually thought he did quite like. I wouldn't, if I was grading him, I wouldn't give him an F. Like I did think there were things that he did that were helpful and actually got us results. The issue I have is, let's say for example, in recent weeks, like I said, the attack isn't strong. We had loads of injuries, and we had Frimpong playing right wing, Gakpo and Rio and Gamboa. I don't mind watching a team where the plan is clear, but we can't score goals because the attack isn't very good. I have no problem with that because I'm like, well, the plan is clear there, but there wasn't a plan. There's no shape, there's no build up, and then defensively, the tactics he wants to adopt, that's on him. A lot of defensive issues are structural issues that he believes is the way forward. So, regardless of injuries, regardless of personnel, that's what he thinks and that's what he wants. He did like the defensive stuff hasn't changed too much from last year. He still likes to have like a midfielder or an extra player at the back and when other teams go man to man, you're going to get played through, and that's what we've seen multiple times. But that was an issue last year. Chelsea at home, even though we won the game, Chelsea were the better team. They were able to play through us. So all these things, all the factors that he had no control of, I have sympathy. But there were stuff, and there is stuff that he controls and he's in charge of, and he ultimately failed at that.
100%. And I guess just before we do our end of season awards, which is what everyone's came for really, I just want to kind of ask you, like looking ahead, you've said this is the biggest summer in years. It kind of decides whether Liverpool are going to be a team that can go back to challenging and just say this was an off year, or are we going to go into a kind of Man United period of really struggling? Um, so yeah, what kind of positions, what kind of players do you want to come in? Obviously, you'd expect we're going to see a replacement on the wing for Salah. I think it's pretty obvious we need a holding midfielder. But in your opinion, what do you think we need in there?
I like. I think I've seen some people being like, we need like so many things. I'm firmly of the opinion that when you fix a couple of things, a lot of the other problems will fix themselves. So you're never as far away as you think. Um, so I would say I would bring in. I would probably bring in a right back because I think no, I like Frimpong, I like Bradley, but the problem is, I think I can't see Bradley becoming a player who's fit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Frimpong, you can't play him every game because he's just his style, and certain games he would be able to cope defensively. I would bring in a right back. I would bring in someone who's a bit more defensive. Um, like I thought in January we were linked with what's his first name? It's Gertrude. He was playing for Sunderland.
Yeah,
He's on
Sunderland
loan.
player.
So Leipzig, he's gonna go back to Leipzig, but they're gonna sell. We were linked with him in January, and he can play right back on midfield. I do think we need a couple of those players who can cover a few places spots and do a decent job and do a good job. I would definitely someone like him. The midfield thing, we definitely need legs and like a bit of energy, and like we need we need like Declan Rice. I know obviously that's impossible, but like that's what we need. So you need to find maybe the closest to that, or someone who can do a lot of things he can do. We're linked to Warden. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't be
Mm.
happy with that. Like I wouldn't agree with that. I just don't think defensively, and he's a bit lightweight. He doesn't play a lot of minutes. He comes off for Palace quite a bit, like early in games. So I don't know how much that would translate. And I think I also think that like yeah, I do believe like our build up and like being able to progress the ball is an issue. Um, I think a lot of our attacking issues will be solved by getting attackers and getting actually fast attackers in. So midfield, I've thought about like a few like I think maybe one of the Newcastle midfielders, Tonali or Bruno. I don't know if they would be willing to leave. I think they might be looking at it because they've kind of gone stale, Newcastle. Um, I don't know if they're like the right profile or anything like that. I just like their energy and their kind of they they can win tackles. Like I know that sounds really simplistic, but like how many times have you seen the Liverpool midfield get
Yeah.
ran past or shoved off the ball? They're strong. They wouldn't allow that. So someone like that, like I know people have said like you said like holding a fielder. I don't know who. I don't know who you could bring in. There's not that many around, and there's not many worth the price that you're hearing. So that's I think midfield is I would say it's the biggest issue. Because just how bad McAllister's been.
Mm-hmm.
So well, something like that. Um, and an attack. Just two. I think we need three attackers. I think if you go through our attackers now, you have Isaac, Ekitike, Gakpo, Ria, and Verts doesn't really count. He's a 10, so I'm not thinking of him. I don't think you can consider Rio as uh, like he should be the sixth attacker because he's so young. We're not going to play him every game, or we're not going to play him a lot. And then you're looking at someone like Ekitike, who's you might as well not even consider him till the following season because of the Achilles is like a big injury. So I would say two wingers, and then they're obviously we're linked with Diamande. That's he'd be good. We need pace. We've linked with Barkla. Another one would be good, left and right. And that's how you're going to get the best out of Isak and Verts because Verts needs runners and Isak needs. You saw him in Newcastle. How many times he got on the end of a Jacob Murphy cross or something like that? So
Yeah.
those two. I also would look at like I said, we need. I think we need three attackers, and I would look at like the West Ham ones at like a discount because they've gone down. And Bowen, I know people have the reservations about Bowen. And like I'm not saying like I know people. I've heard people say that he's a seller replacement. Like no, he's not. But like someone who's versatile, like if Isak can't play a full 90, Bowen can go up top for 30 minutes. He'll do a job, and he'd be cheap. You know, what I mean? You need someone who can play across the front lines, and we're not forced to play Fring Pong there or relying on Rio, who's still a child, basically. So, yeah, I think if you can get like four or five, what I've named there, I think you're in a much better spot, and it solves a lot of the issues. Um, yeah, like, and I think it's then just getting the best out of what we have. And figuring out, like, for example, where you're going to play Shabazz. And, like,
Yeah.
I think Gravenberch's been pretty good this year, to be honest. I've liked a lot of his performance. I just don't think he has a lot of help. Shabazz is a must start. You want to start Verts. So then you need a six. You need someone who's going to be defensively inclined and be able to win the ball back. So, yeah,
I mean,
that's
for
what I
me,
do, yeah.
for me, if budget wasn't an option, you could just go in and sign any Premier League player or just really player in the world. Probably would be someone like Boubacar Kamara from Villa. Now he does have a
Yeah.
couple of injury problems. To be fair, that could be an issue. But I think he's completely Villa are just a different side when he's playing. I think he's excellent. And then kind of a mini version of him who plays for Lille in France is actually Ayi Bouade. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but I've seen some links with him. Apparently, we're battling it out with PSG for him. I think that could be a decent shout as well, but he is a little young. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's actually a valid point on Gravenberch. Um, I think like he has had no help because McAllister's really struggled. And I hate to say it because he's like one of my favorite players, but he's really struggled. Um, but so you have to take that into context when he beside him. But I think if you saw Gravenberch in a more number eight role, I think he would really thrive. I don't think like obviously he deputized really extremely well as a number six last year. But I think if he was given a little bit more freedom besides someone a bit more defensive, I think he could unleash an absolute beast of a player there. Also, just to quickly touch on your right back point, I think I do agree that we certainly need another face at right back. Because Bradley is if he could play 38 games, I think he'd be good enough, but he just can't. Frimpong, I have real concerns over him, to be honest. Just is he suited to the Premier League, to be honest, physically? Um, but even if you say he is, he definitely, isn't really able to last full 90 and stuff like that. He's a good squad option. He's versatile. I actually have a possible solution from within though, and I am interested to hear your take. What do you think? There's any possibility we could see Curtis Jones being a bit of a Nico O'Reilly, Mateus Nunes, and become our new right back, or is that wishful thinking?
Well, like I do see it. I think it would help a lot with our progression as well, like in terms of build up. Because a lot of teams have targeted that they've realised that Van Dijk was the only one who could pass. So I think Jones being able to take the ball in tight situations. I I do think it's an option. Like I think that could happen. But the two things would have to happen is he would really have to improve defensively.
Yeah,
I think he'd have to change his mindset a little bit in that regard. And I think he would need to buy into it. Like in his mind, he wants to play midfield. And he believes he should play midfield for Liverpool, and he wants to play midfield, and that's why maybe he's thinking of moving on. Like the rumors of him moving on are quite strong, so he would have to buy into it. I would like him to stay for the reason where that we could try it out, and I actually think he's a great player. He can play midfield too. I think like how are you going to replace Jones? Like I do think extremely good. He would have to buy into it though.
Yeah.
And I think I do like Jones. I think he's a fantastic player. I really like him. I do think he thinks he's better than he is what I would say. Um, and I don't know if he'd buy into that, but he might do. He could. If it meant he played every week, he might do.
And that's the thing. I think there is, as you say, there's really strong links. There was really strong links in January that he was going to like Inter Milan or Spurs. Obviously, Spurs have stayed up now, so that's a possibility again. I do think though, yeah, if you could say, look, if you can play well, that's your shirt. You're the new right back. I think it would be an incentive for him to stay around. And like you do see for City, sometimes like Nico O'Reilly does. He still is an option for them as midfield. He plays like 90% at left back, but he still comes into midfield at times. So if we have a couple of injuries in midfield, Jones can still slot in. Um, I think it would be a good incentive, I suppose, to keep him around. But I do completely agree. There has been a few times he's been caught defensively, and that definitely needs to improve. He's not a natural defender at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, I think it's one to look at. I think it's whoever the manager is probably going to be Slot. They should be working with him in pre-season and say, look, if you can show us in pre-season that you can do this, you will be our new right back. But I don't know. It might be wishful thinking. I don't know. If he doesn't show it in pre-season, I definitely agree that we need a new right back because, yeah, we've outlined the reasons why. Um, Stephen, with that being said, we might move on to our end of season awards. As you are the guest, you were so kind to avail of this opportunity. I'll let you go first. So we have just to reach so the viewers know, we have player of the season, most improved player, the best signing, the most underwhelming player, the worst signing, the manager's rating, and the overall season rating. So yeah, I'll let you work away with those. We'll start with player of the season. Think this is probably the most easy one, but maybe you have a different shout. Who knows? Who would you think it is?
Dominic Szoboszlai, obviously.
Yeah,
He's just been incredible, and he's the reason we're going to be playing Champions League football next year. He has been. There's times in games where everyone has shot the bed. I remember United away. I actually thought he was good in the first half. He's the only one who seemed up for it. He scores that goal, then gets an assist, leads the free kicks, and just his overall performances. I think he's really grown into that shirt. And like for me, like 18 months ago, I remember during the title winning season, there was a lot of talk of like, oh, Liverpool need a number 10. They need more out of the number 10. Szoboszlai doesn't do enough. I remember looking at like, and I could have been. I'm pretty sure I was in one of those out of the people who were like making Liverpool's starting 11 for next season and for this season rather in the summer. And Szoboszlai wasn't even in the lineup. The people just took Szoboszlai out and put Verts in. And the fact now he is he is clearly player of the year and become one of the best midfielders in the world. And I think he obviously believed he had that in him. I've always really liked him. I think he's been his energy is something you need in the Premier League. I think he's the perfect player for the Premier League, and he's fantastic. And I think he's grown into the role. I think winning the league last year, like it felt like he grew another foot tall. Like he just seems like a more accomplished, um, experienced player. He's not kind of like a someone with potential. He's really coming to his own. And I think he can get better. I think he can cut out some of the silly stuff you see from him. We're going to talk about him being a potential captain. He captain's hungry. He seems like a good leader. He seems like somebody who leads from by example. So you never know. So yeah, he is for me clear player of the year.
completely agree. And I mean, what's kind of mad is like I don't have it. Perhaps you do. Like, what percentage of matches has he played as a right back this year? Clearly not his position. And he's still been immense. That's why if we can get that right back position started for next season, I think the sky's the limit for that man. Yeah, he's also always kind of talked about he likes the deep lying role more than the kind of number 10. So if Vert can really make that his position next year, I think it's really exciting times for Szoboszlai. Hopefully he does stay around. I think he will now that we have Champions League. I think he wants to build a bit of a legacy at Anfield. So completely agree. He's my player of the season as well. I'll just put it out there. Most improved. again, going to let you go first, even though I have a bit of a mad shout here. Yeah, who have you gone for? Interested to hear this one.
Um, I think I think there hasn't been many players who've wowed me this year. Obviously,
Mm,
like you could say Rio,
yeah,
but like I think this was kind of like I suppose you could say Rio because he has added goals to his game. Um, that would maybe be the obvious answer. For me, actually, I'm a bit of a match out. I was thinking about it before this when you mentioned that list there, and I was like, right, who could be it? I am gonna say Kirkes because at the start of the year, people were saying he's like Nunes at left back, he's
yeah,
rash, he's all over the place. I didn't buy into a lot of that. I thought he was fine a lot of the time. I did think he made a
yeah,
couple of silly mistakes. He's only like 21, 22. I think he's been very good. And especially defensively, I don't think we've obviously used him. Like Slot used him wrong. That's another thing the manager's got wrong. He's used him completely wrong. He hasn't gone to the touchline. He hasn't gone to the byline enough. He was playing like inverted, and it was a weird. It was kind of doing what Robinson was doing last year, but that's not Kirk's game. But I think defensively, Kirkes has been quite solid. Like I think he's made some huge interceptions, huge tackles, and he clearly has the energy we need. We need more players like him who have that energy. He's up and down, he's committed, and he's only going to get better. I do think like if you saw Kirkes in August compared to now, you would see okay, he's clearly settled in, and there's more to come. I think he's settled in now, and then you're going to see the best version of him next year, hopefully. So that would be my shout.
genuinely couldn't agree with that analysis more. I think Carcas has been really hard done by some critics this year. Um, like it's ridiculous, really, that like especially when he's such a young player. I haven't gone for him for my most improved, but it's actually I probably maybe would consider changing my mind. But anyway, I think that's a really good shout. Like I think some of the criticism's been ridiculous. The only slightly disappointing aspect I'd say is his attacking output hasn't been there
Yeah,
compared to
I agree.
Bournemouth last season. But you're totally right. It's the way the manager has used him. He's never told to go to the touchline like he did with Bournemouth last year. But yeah, defensively, maybe a few mistakes at the start, sure, but I don't think since there's been many, and he's actually made a lot of important interceptions and tackles. So yeah, well, very good analysis. I fully agree. But I've actually gone for a really mad check, and not sure what you'll think of him. I am interested to see. Now, granted, I really struggled with this one because I don't. We've literally went from first to fifth. Like nobody has really improved. But I've actually gone for Federico Chiesa. Now,
Yeah,
the reason I've gone for that is, and I will have to give a bit of a reason for this because it sounds a bit mad. I just remember like last season he barely made 5 appearances. Like there was talk that he mightn't even get a Premier League medal. Slat when we won the league, then in fairness, Slat he gave him a few matches, but I just think when Chiesa, in fairness, has played this year, I've been impressed. Now I know he was given a couple of chances, probably flattered to deceive at times towards the back end. I think that's just because he was totally frustrated by how not being given chances early. But particularly early on, I think he was excellent. Like his goal to game ratio was very high. And I think I don't think it was like an incredible improvement. It wasn't like he went from but I think it was an improvement. I think he improved more than most. And yeah, that's just who I think is the shout. I don't think he's going to stay beyond next season, unfortunately, which pains me because I am a bit biased. I just love him as a player.
yeah,
But yeah, what do you think of that one?
yeah. Like he's a very likable player. I don't mind him leaving just because I don't think he's good enough. But
Yeah,
I think if you do think about like most improved, like he barely played last year. He didn't even look fit.
exactly. Yeah,
So he's played this year. He scored goals. He scored that goal against Bournemouth. Scored a
yeah,
couple of other ones. And I think in a couple of games, I had like at the start, like in the first half of the season when he was given chances, I do think he actually showed a bit of something. Second half of the season when he came on, a lot of the time Liverpool were losing the game.
yeah,
So when he wouldn't score, he missed a chance. It was like, oh, why is he on the pitch? Like, do you know what I mean? So, and his work size, he's industrious. So, like, no, I don't really think that's much of a math shout. Purely because if you are talking most improved, he went from barely playing last year to playing, scoring a couple of goals, and looking a bit better. But he'll obviously want to play more football. So yeah,
for sure.
yeah, that's not bad. I didn't even think of that.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. I think. Yeah, I think it's. I think it's. I don't think our two shouts would be very popular in like the Liverpool fan base. But when you actually think about it and the rationale behind it, the question you're being asked, I think it's. I think they're both good shouts. We'll move on anyway. The best signing. Again, I'll let you go first. Who do you think the best signing was? Plenty to
Um,
choose from.
yeah, probably Okay, just the goals you see, considering he was like, even when we got him, it was all focused on Isak and stuff and getting Isak, and then when we got him, we thought I could see KB on the bench a good bit, and he was brilliant till he got injured, and obviously like there were things he needed to prove on. I think there was times when there was in games so you needed him to hold it up and lay it off and win flick ons and be a bit more, be stronger in duels or whatever. But in terms of like on the eye, he was great to watch. I did think he was forming a good relationship with Verts. So yeah, and look, the output's been good. And hopefully now the Achilles injury is the big worry, because the Achilles one is the one injury in sport that could be kind of make or break. But hopefully that he's young, maybe he can bounce back from that. But yeah, it's got to be Ekatike. That I think Frimpong has been underwhelming. Kirkez hasn't gotten there yet. Verts has been underwhelming, and Isak's been injured and very underwhelming. So, I think that's all. Is that everyone we signed? And then
Yeah.
Maradashvili. Yeah.
Leone,
So
did you say Leone? I know he was injured the whole year, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Leo, I forgot about him. Yeah, but and he was good in his debut. So yeah,
yeah,
but I think it's Ekatike is the clear kind of front runner.
yeah. No, I that's who I've gone for as well. Think really impressed by him. Pretty decent output, but even outside of that, he's just really a nice player to watch in the ball and stuff like that. Agree that he has some things to improve, and he kind of can go a bit missing in games at times, in my opinion. But I think, yeah, I think he was the most exciting signing, the best, really. I for sure, I agree. And hopefully, I just really hope he can recover from this Achilles injury, because it is a really it's a brutal one. I mean, it took Santi Cazorla, I think, nearly 5 years to recover from. It's a really brutal one. But look, he is being treated by like world class people. So hopefully, let's just hope. And we might have him back in January or February of 27. Next award is, well, it's not really an award. This is actually what you don't want to be winning. It's the most underwhelming player of the whole squad. Who have you gone for?
Of the entire squad.
The entire squad, yeah. Just who do you think has been? I guess underwhelming is a kind way to put it. It's worst player, really. Who's been the worst for you this year?
Oh, the worst player.
Yeah, of all
Oh,
of the whole squad.
oh, okay. I was thinking something else. Um, Obviously you could put Isak, but that's injuries.
Yeah,
I think, considering he played 37 league games, I think it was, McAllister has been shocking. Like, he looked. I know he had. It was weird because last year, at the end of last year, he like once we won the league, he was able to take like 4 games off, and then he had surgery apparently, but we don't know what it was for. And then he was late coming back to preseason. He just hasn't got to the races, and he's been shocking. He's just easy to run past. He's not been good on the ball. He's been weak. And he looks like his legs are gone. I know he's only in his mid-20s, but like it's been shocking. And that's another thing that's gone wrong. He kept playing him, kept playing him. Um,
yeah,
Sometimes he didn't have the choice but to play him, but sometimes he did, and he continued to play him. And yeah, it's been a bad year. And I would be surprised if he was moved on in the summer.
yeah. It's really sad because like what a player he was in his first
Oh,
two
unreal.
seasons. But it's almost reminiscent of Fabinho, another player I absolutely loved. It's kind of reminiscent of him just that last season. It's like his legs completely went. And I actually do think it's a good point you made. Yeah, he was kind of given the last 4 games of last season off and then got surgery. I wonder, was he rushed back to preseason or something like that, because it's all season he's just looked behind it in terms of fitness.
You wouldn't
And
know
I
because
don't know.
I don't even know what the injury was. I don't think anyone knows. Like, I do think unfortunately, he's played a lot of football over the last like 4 or 5 years. Like, he's been to all the major tournaments, but has been really available for Brighton and Liverpool. So, like, I do think it's caught up with him. And he's going to
Mhm.
the World Cup now, so I don't think that's going to get any better.
Exactly, yeah. It's really it's such a pity. And look, I mean, there's still plenty of time for him to come back, but it's kind of like the manager point earlier. How many times have we seen a player like in midfield, especially, who has looks like they've lost their legs so much and they've made a drastic comeback? It's kind of rare, but maybe he just needs to get away from the club and have a new challenge. I don't know. I've actually gone for a different player, even though I do unfortunately completely agree with your analysis. I've actually gone for Kanata. Um, I mean, part of it now, most of it is like I'm trying to keep it to only just performances. Part of it as well is kind of some of his behavior, like off the pitch, in terms of being so wishy washy about the contract. I'm not. I mean, like I don't mind players moving on, but it's just kind of a bit. Trent got so much stick for it last year that I feel it's only fair if we're consistent, you know. But look, it's mainly is his. I think like he was absolutely incredible in the title-winning season last year. Genuinely, I would even go as far as to say he outshone Van Dijk at times. This year, though, he just has done Van Dijk no favors. A lot of individual mistakes. To be fair, he had a bit of a spell then when he came back and done really well. I also want to, make sure I'm not forgetting, like, God rest his father passed away. That's not easy to deal with, to be fair. Um, but yeah, I just think the drop off from last season has been noticeable. Um, and
Yeah.
I kind of think it's another player that I wouldn't mind see we part ways with Jeremy Jacka coming in, Leone coming back. I don't know. What do you think of that, Chad? I mean, am I being a bit harsh or?
No, I think he's their contender. Like, I do think he's improved slightly. But the first while of the season, he like leads away. He basically just
Give them the
lost
yeah.
the game. We're 2-0 up and cruising. He just cost the game. And there's been sometimes just absolutely baffling, like just baffling decisions, like really, really bad. He doesn't didn't look like a professional footballer at times. Like, it was shocking. I'd like you said, I think after he came back, he did look more improved. He just still looks a bit shaky, and I I think with the amount of change that's coming, I would like to see him sign a new deal because I think to find it's there and you're going to get
Yeah.
a certain level of performance. The issue with Canati was it was always like, right, he's the next, not the next Van Dijk, but he's going to take over as leader of the defense. He just doesn't look like one of those players. He doesn't look like a centre back who's going to be barking out orders and clearing everything. And he just looks like a partner to the better centre back. As in for France, I don't know if Deschamps even plays Saliba. I think he prefers Canada over Saliba, but it's like if that was it, like like Saliba would be the main guy, and Kanata is like his sidekick. So that's frustrating. But like, you never know. Like with centre backs, they age differently. He can come into his own, and he's got every attribute, which is crazy. Apart from maybe on the ball, but defensively, he's got pace. He's got loads of strength. He's got the height. He's got everything. You're just waiting for him to really kick into gear. And the thing is with him, it was always the thing with Kanata. He was always injured in his first few seasons, but he was amazing. Last couple of seasons, he's been so available. He was so available. But
Yeah.
and this year especially, and it's like it was almost getting to a stage like I don't care if he's fit. I don't want him to play. I want him to stick Joe Gomez or stick anyone there. So, I do think he's settled down a little bit now. I do think he will be better, but it's a fair shout. Like, I can't even count how many goals he's been a part of. Like, he's been at the scene of the crime.
That's it. So look, McAllister, Kanata, there's probably a few other ones you could suggest, but I think they are the two most underwhelming, we'll say. Moving swiftly on, we have worst signing. These are the two awards you don't really want to be winning. But anyway, it's not really awards. But anyway, worst signing. Again, sir, I'll let you go first with that one. What do you think?
I would say Zach. And obviously some of it's not his fault. He's injured. He didn't have a preseason. It's been tough to watch him at times, and he looks way off it. He looked unfit for the whole season. He didn't play the last couple of games, um, or last few games even. And yeah, after the amount of money we paid, look, he will get better. He'll be fine next year. I think he'll be very good. But at least first show level, like show glimpses of something. Um, and same with the others. It's just been very, very disappointing. But I'm sure next year he'll be much better. I'm certain. I mean, he can't get any worse than that.
Yeah, 100%. I've actually gone for Isak as well. I kind of had maybe Frimpong close-ish, but Frimpong did have a few moments, and I do think he is a good utility player for us, and all that kind of stuff. So at least he was available as well. Yeah, Isak looks, to be fair, a lot of it you can put down to injury. He was starting to hit a bit of a groove, like literally scored a goal against Spurs and injured himself in the process. So who knows what his season could have been like if he just scored. But anyway, yeah, I think, like, we've seen, like, I agree that he's been unfit, and that's almost kind of exciting to me because you still have seen a bit of quality here and there, despite the fact that he clearly isn't up to full match sharpness, in my opinion. Anyway, um, it is a little scary that we're relying on him to be like our only proper out and out nine next year. Most likely, I know Gakpo will probably be his understudy, but I never really saw Gakpo as a nine myself. Yeah, I think. I think, yeah, I don't think it'll get much worse in this season. I think he'll know next year he's the main man. It's a big preseason. I think his preseason will tell a lot. Yeah, but Isaac, look, it's just unfortunate. You spent so much money on him. I mean, he spent like 3 times what we spent on Frimpong, and he barely played. So I think you have to put him as worst signing. But um, I wouldn't. I don't think it's the end of his Liverpool career. I think he will go on to have another good rest of next 5 years. I believe it's left in his contract. Um, this one now is I'm really interested to hear your take on this one. It's the manager rating. You can go in stars or in decimal points, whatever you prefer. Yeah, manager rating. What are you giving Slot out of 5 or 10?
I'll do that out of 10 because actually my mate asked me. I think I gave him 4. I think maybe I was being harsh. I'll just double check that actually, just when I want to just
Take
make
your time.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, what did I say? Lost. Oh no, I didn't give him a rating at all. Well, he gave him a 4, but I would say, oh, it's tough, you know. Should, I'll give him a 4 and 4.5. I'll explain why. I think I was gonna give him a 5, but 5 just seems too high. I would give him credit because 0 is like you're sacked, you're done. I would give him credit for how he dealt with the John situation,
Yeah.
how he did get us Champions League football, and how we did make change when we were losing games 3-0. Last win like during the winter. So I'll give him credit for that 1,000,000%. His downfalls, like we've gone through, I've mentioned it when we were talking about him, and I mentioned it during other like parts of this, that he's made some baffling decisions, where he's played players, um, where the tactics, the approach has been poor at times. I also think that, like, obviously he's Dutch, and Dutch people have a certain way of going about things, and they like to explain things. They're very matter of fact, and I get that. But some of his comments have been not helpful at all, and I think he's really struggled with picking his fights. I think when it even comes to Salah, like I supported Slot with the whole Salah thing originally, but then recently Salah started with standards, which he was right about that. There was concerns throughout the fan base about where the standards, like why, for example, why are they going on holiday so much? And maybe that has something to do with the Jota thing. Like maybe it is mental breaks that they've needed. But then he was like, "Oh, the standards are also on pitch, not only in the gym or whatever he said, whatever Slot said." I'm like, that's such a weird hill to die on, and I think that's a bad sign. I think at times when we've lost games, he's explaining what happened, and you're like, I watched the game. Like I can watch football. Like, you know what I mean? Like I watched the game. I saw what happened. I saw how we exceeded the goals. They were replayed. I've seen the goals more than you've seen them. You know what I mean? Like they've been replayed multiple times. I saw what happened, what went wrong. I saw the whole game, what went wrong, or what went right. And he goes through it like the whole game, and you're just like, I just want to see so. I just want to feel something. If you get me, like during the bad times, and we were bad on the clock. There was a few times you always got something out of him. There was always like, you know, this is what we need to do. This is what we're going to do. This is why I need the support going into next week. Which thought it was like, uh, you know, this team plays a certain way. We don't like that. I'm pretty sure he said that one time. I don't know which team it was against. We're struggling with long balls. And you're just like, shut up. Like, just
Yeah,
shut up. We can see that, and it's tough to listen to when you're doing bad. When you're winning all the games, and he's going through it. You're like, oh, that's great, yeah, 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 lovely. Like he's answering, he's very chill, and that's all all the positive adjectives that were being thrown his way last year were all true. It's when it's bad, it's hard to get behind. So I would say 4.5 all in.
very good. I've actually gone for like I pretty much mirror your take there, but I've gone a good bit lower. I've gone for 3.5. Um, yeah, just I'll be honest, like I've just never been more kind of disconnected from a Liverpool team. I remember, like as you kind of said about Klopp teams, even and don't make no mistake, Klopp had some bad seasons, but it was always like you were always still from my experience anyway. You're always in the edge of your seat and you're kind of enjoying the match. Like I'll be honest, and this is maybe I shouldn't be admitting this, like, but the amount of times I even fell asleep during games this year, it was just incredible. And like to be fair, it has to be said the style of football wasn't that entertaining last year as well when we won the league, but you can accept it when you're getting wins. But just really poor. I think his statements to the media at times. I mean, he literally was giving out. He was like, I know Arsenal are horrible to watch and all that, but like he was giving digs at Arsenal after winning the league. Like just congratulate them. I don't know. I just really worry about his position. And what I just like to make clear though is like I've seen some people online and stuff say like they hate him and he should
Yeah,
never be back up. Like I'm having none of that. Like he should, if I do believe he should go, but he should always be welcome back at Anfield whenever he wants. He should be given a standing ovation. Like he delivered number 20. That's a huge deal. Like you can't underestimate that. But I just think for him, for everyone at the club, don't think it's. I think it's ran its course, unfortunately. But yeah, that is the manager rating. Do you have anything else you want to touch on before we go to the last award?
no, no, sounds good.
Ideal, ideal. So this one it's a pretty similar question, really, that I'm putting to you. But it's actually the season rating. So it's just kind of the season as a whole. So it's obviously the manager played a part in the season and the whole squad. Yeah, what would you give this season out of 10? Um, yeah, what do you think? I'm again interested to hear this because I have a bit of a take I'm looking for. So yeah, go ahead.
Um, Considering we won the league and we spent all that money and we got some great players in, and I think it depends who you take the Jota situation. It was like obviously a terrible thing. It depends if you want to use that to mitigate why your assessments, or it's like that's part of what was terrible. If you get me, I would say three. Like I think getting Champions League football is still a thing. Like it's still a thing that we
Yeah.
can somewhat hold on to. I think getting to the quarterfinals of a Champions League any year is pretty decent.
Hmm.
Yeah, three. I would say three. I think that's about it. It's just been shocking. Um,
Yeah.
Records have been broken that we haven't we haven't you know seen, especially people are like fans our age. In terms of losses and goals conceded, I think zero would be you're going down or it's going
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah.
one, or you know what I mean. But so I think three would probably, because like there is things that were fun about this year. The first few games we were winning every last minute. The Everton win. So yeah,
True. Yeah, completely valid. I've actually gone slightly higher. I've gone for a four. And the main reason for that is because I get kind of my logic is I give the manager a 3.5 because I think, yes, he made some decent tactical tweaks. That's about all I could give him praise for. The reason I've gone the extra 0.5 for the whole squad is because I think there was, in fairness, a lot of individual brilliance that came through. The likes of Szoboszlai, the likes of the last minute winners. Van Dijk got loads of goals, and I think Van Dijk generally had a great season as well. That's kind of why I'm saying four. Also, yeah, Champions League quarterfinal is losing to PSG isn't too bad. We actually gave them a good run of it in the second leg. Also, at the end of the day, qualified for the Champions League. We wouldn't have in previous years, but there's now 5 places in the Premier League. So, yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. But it's a season that we can't repeat. The standards have to stay high, and it can't be like this again next year. To be honest with you, but yeah, and I guess also just briefly, I think it would be remiss not to touch on the Diogo Jota situation. Like, we're actually approaching 12 months from it now, which is crazy to think. Um, like, I guess my thing with it is it's a situation that will haunt the club for like years. It's so incredibly sad. But also I think it has to be said, like, at the start of the season when we were like winning 5 in a row and all that, and we were doing really wellish, like, yes, we were getting a bit lucky, but we were getting points on the board anyway. It was like, we're doing this for Jada, and then we started losing games. It's like it's like, which one is this? You kind of have to,
yeah. No, I think that's
like,
fair. I think if we won something this year to this for Jota, we were doing it for Jota. I think both things can be true at the same time to an extent.
sure,
The Jota thing is, I think, like Robertson came out, and I think his quote, it did hit me a little bit because it's like he said that, like, oh, we didn't even want to go to training. Even the physios, we'd go in for treatment, they didn't want to treat us. They were just, and like that, that makes a huge impact. And it
yeah,
probably took a while for them to really get up to speed. Like, we don't know what it was like to go on those preseason tours. They probably didn't want to be there. And then you're looking at like the new players having to settle into that. It's incredibly sad. It obviously had a huge impact. Um, and I think you look at Salah on the first day when he was crying after the game, like, there was a lot of emotion. I think if the Liverpool players had the choice, like, if they could magically, sim to jump to the end of the season, if even when they were in August and take whatever happened, I think they would have done it. I think they just were
yeah,
their heads were burnt, um, and like that's the same with the manager and the whole club, whole wider thing. I think it was tough. I think when we look at them as footballers, we don't really grasp that enough. Um, and as time goes on, then even though you're like, obviously with Jota dying, because at the start of it, like, I think we all agreed like that here, like, whatever happens this year, fucking free hit, lads. When you know what I mean, like, it's just desperate what happens. And as time goes on, football matches have to be played. There is football to be played. Liverpool are scheduled to play a Premier League game every weekend, every week. They're scheduled to play Champions League games. They're scheduled to play cup games, and these all have to happen, and they have to. You have to play them. Have to move on, and that's where and the results, the results. When we lost to United, I was hardly sitting back going, "Ah, here, it doesn't matter." Of course, it mattered at the time. So it's very difficult to continue to, like, remember that and remind yourselves of it, but it is important. I think it will. I think the players will even come in and they'll say, "Look, last season was basically a write off," and I think we'll see improved kind of mindset. I think we'll see a stronger mentality as well. I think they will be kind of like, "Look, that was fucking shit, but we're digging ourselves out of this and we're going to go for it now." And you can play the Jonah thing into all those late winners we conceded and all those times we went 1-0 down, we crumbled. Like, these are all things you can attribute to it. I hope the players get whatever help they need, the whole club, everyone involved, and they can really kind of turn that now into like a new energy and try to drive this forward, because that season was meant to have Diogo Jota. that
Yeah,
season. He was scheduled to come back and play preseason for that season. Next season is a new season, and obviously we'll never forget it. But it's a new season without Diogo, and it's not the first season without him anymore. And I think the time's a great healer, and I think it will help, and I think you'll see that. One thing I would say just quickly, sorry, on that is
no
the
worries.
whole clapping and chanting his name at 20 minutes at Anfield. I think it's got to stop. And Robertson even said it himself. He didn't say it hasn't stopped, but he's like, you probably noticed that we start the games well, and after 20 minutes, when we'd be reminded that our mate died, our teammate and our friend died, you saw our performance at levels dip. Um, I do think it's a good gesture, but I do think now it's time just to like stop doing that, because I don't think the players want to be reminded of that. Do you think Van Dijk wants to be playing mid 20 minutes in the game? He's like, why is everyone clap? Oh yeah, my best mate, my friend, who I spent so many years with, who I won so like a bunch of trophies with. He's dead. I don't think that's helpful anymore. I don't know what you think about that, but that's just my take.
Oh man, you've honestly nearly brought a tear to my eye there. It's really well said. And we do forget the human side of football at times. Like, it's an unbelievable burden they have to carry, you know. So fair play. We can never forget that, and Diogo will never be forgotten. On that note, I think that kind of brings us to the end of the show. Unless you've anything you want to say, Stephen, or we'll obviously plug your social medias there as well.
Um, no, I think I'm all good. I write on Substack about Liverpool, if anyone cares. Um,
Very good stuff.
so if you want to hear my stuff in more concise detail or whatever, you can have a look at that. But yeah, that's it. Like I would say, even like Liverpool fans, whatever. Like I would say, like it's never as bad as you think it is. So
Mhm.
I do think we'll see an improvement, and just keep going, keep going. We'll be back next year. The season's over, the nightmare's over, and we can start dreaming about transfer targets and getting deluded again, because that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? That is what it's all about, and we're gonna give a good whack next year, I hope. And there 100% will be good times ahead. Um, I just hope the players really take this season personally, or what's this happening personally, and just go for it now. And because the quality's there, the backing's there, the support will always be there. So yeah, that's it really.
For sure. Stephen Reynolds, go follow him on Twitter X, just Stephen Reynolds, I think, and all the other platforms. Stephen, you know yourself, you're always welcome on again. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon. And thanks to
Yeah,
the viewers.
cheers.